Oh, God, how on earth did we come out with that one? Thank God for Bernd Leno. Thank Christ. Good evening. Welcome to the show. Welcome to the Gooner Talk. Back again with you guys for another show after Arsenal have beaten Everton 3-2 in the Premier League to take us up to the dizzying heights of the top half of the table. Thank you ever so much for tuning in. We're going to get through plenty of your comments this afternoon and this evening and talk about everything that happened today. But I don't think there's anywhere else we can start other than Bernd Leno. Because without Bernd Leno, we don't take away those 3 points today whatsoever. Let's see some love for Bernd Leno in the chat from everyone, please. Unbelievable saves that he made, unbelievable decision-making, coming out right at the end there and nicking the ball off Richarlison. Absolutely fantastic stuff. So we'll talk about the whole game and the goals in particular, but I'm getting ever so concerned that a little club called Bayern Munich are going to be looking at a certain Mr. Bernd Leno as their Neuer successor. So I really hope I'm wrong, but every single time he puts in one of these amazing performances, I can't help but think that is where this is heading. Let's get through some of your comments. That tackle was magic, says Kibbs. 100% it was. Archie says tired legs in the second half. Yeah, we're going to talk about that. Matthew Gunner says let's go. Great win. He made great saves, says Omar. Joseph says good win, but Arteta's in-game management is a big problem. Could have cost us heavily. Interesting. Please flesh out your points and views on that, Joseph. I'll be interested to know what you mean. Leno is absolutely insane. Is insanely good, says Carl Halberg, who is one of our most recent members. Thank you ever so much, Carl, for joining us. Dave Atkinson says Leno. Archie says Leno going nowhere unless it's 80 million. Leno is the best. Beast, says TB. Sorry. Owen says Bayern have signed Nubel from Schalke. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter to them. They don't care. They'll still sign someone if it's going to be better than what they've got. Easy. Glad we won. Arteta Philosophy says M. Yazdani. Thank you so much for tuning in. Emmanuel Gatt says Leno was massive in the second half. Peter Coulson, I've just missed your comment, says always here to leave a like. As unfortunate, you clash with ABW, and they are my fam. Wish you were the best. Yeah, I'm sorry about that. I'm glad that you've chosen to drop a like here. Whether you watch us back or watch us live, I don't mind. Thank you ever so much for tuning in. Manoj says Mustafi honestly deserves all the credit. He was amazing. Again, his positioning has improved massively. We've already talked about Emmanuel's comment. Bulgarian Guna, Arsenal is fun again. When was it not fun? I don't remember those times. Do you? Julian Nagelsmann, one of our members, and thank you ever so much for beating Spurs in the week. Really, really appreciate that. Says, I think Mustafi and Luiz had a bounce from Arteta, and I'm not trying to be negative, but they aren't good enough in general. Now, I am going to redcon that because Mustafi, behind Leno, along with Aubameyang, was up there with my man of the match. Mustafi was a rock at the back today, making clearances, winning headers, was a real, I mean, usually we look at Mustafi and we think, oh God, what is he going to do? But 2020 is the year of Mustafi. That I want to see hashtag 2020 Mustafi in the chat because it is unreal what he has done since Arteta has taken over. It's amazing how a player that was looked upon so harshly by so much, including myself, of the fan base, how he has turned this around is unbelievable. And I am absolutely thrilled because we knew that we were going to have to wait to the summer until at least Saliba came in and maybe even another signing before we could actually make some centre-back reinforcements of real note. Of course, Pablo Mari came in, but he's not getting a look in at the moment, probably due to match fitness. But Mustafi, my God, I mean, he's going to keep him out of the team. He's going to keep that Pablo Mari out of the team, and we're not going to see this Spanish guy at all because Mustafi is so important. He's absolutely brilliant. Thank you ever so much, Mustafi. Hashtag 2020 Mustafi for sure is what we're going to be seeing. The GOAT, says Manoj. Jubilani says, I am going to bleach my hair. We got Maldini in our team. What's up with the haircut? What is up with that dyed hair? That's ridiculous. Ridiculous. But it's working, clearly. I blame Mustafi for our losses. I have to big him up for his win. Come on, you Gunners. Sweet Caroline, bar. Absolutely fantastic. That bar, like a sheep. All the oldies are going to proper be on me for that one. Kibbs Saka played well for the majority, but tired out. Yeah, to be honest, there's clearly a reason why Saka wasn't in the lineup today. He's played a lot of minutes, really, really fantastically, and he needed a rest. And Kolasinac getting injured is really, really a misfortune, because I think that Saka didn't expect to play today. I don't think he expected to get any minutes really on the pitch. And he was sort of being rested ahead of what is another important clash at home against Olympiacos, which he's probably going to have to play in. We have got, as Tom Fed says, Tierney coming back very soon, so Saka can get a breather. Aya says Danny is making quite a difference. Yeah, so Ceballos, really, really good stuff today. Again, really forcing the play, keeping the ball ticking over. Second half wasn't anywhere near as influential for me, other than immediately at the start. But he's kind of a first half guy when he starts, and then he fades into the second half. It's not really part of his game. However, what I will say is that he chipped in with the defensive side of the game, made some interceptions, made a couple of tackles, doing really well in that department. So if people thought we were going to be more open with Ceballos and the team compared to Torreira, I think overall we probably are, but I don't think we're anywhere near as more open in the midfield with Ceballos in this team. So I'm very happy about that. Matthew Gunner says, Nketiah, I thought had a good game today, besides a few misplaced passes, but he was dropping deep more to help the play. Definitely so. Manoj says, Tierney apparently back in first team training. Maybe you can play 50, 60 minutes on Thursday. Saka was just tired. His legs went. Beware of burnout. Yeah, I think that's the thing. Is we can't. That's what G. Will says. We can't. It's just this basic maths. You cannot just keep playing a player over and over and over in every single game, because they will burn out. It's as simple as that. Apologies, I need to cough. I'm still not back to full fitness myself. Lovely goals, says Avon Teddington, who's one of our members. Thank you ever so much for tuning in. Once again, Avon, you're always here, and I really appreciate every single second you are. Avinash says, Ceballos was putting in the tackles. I think he could be an ideal Ozil replacement. One thing I have to say about our members is that, unfortunately, on StreamYard, and I have sent in a couple of messages, is that I can't see at the moment when a new member joins. And what I'm just doing is getting up on my phone the show, because on the YouTube app I can obviously see my members when they do comment. I should do this more often, really. But thank you so much for tuning in. For instance, Avon, who's now got his 1 month badge, which is quite cool, in the chat box too. Thank you ever so much for being a member for a whole month. Mark Thompson says, loving this Saka kid. Looks like a baby, but excellent footballer. He really, really does. Saka better sign the contract, says Haroon. I definitely agree with you. O'Malley says Saka was tired, but he was not poor. Mark Thompson says, loving the Saka kid. Yeah, we talked about that. John Cronin, I'd like to see Pepe skin a few people. He has the pace and abundance, but tends to cut inside and slow things down. But I can't really blame him too much for that. He's a left-footed player, heavily left-footed. And for me, that is always going to keep him into a position where he's not going to be able to run down the wing all the time, because he's naturally just inclined to cut in and get a cross in or get a shot in. That's just the way that he plays. So I'm not too critical of that. What I will be critical of is that I think that he was up against a left back in Baines that he could have taken on a lot more. I think the fact they didn't have Luca Dean in there today was a big, big miss for them. And also having Theo Walcott has been a real revelation under Ancelotti. So Luca Dean and Walcott not being in there was definitely something that I thought would have really, really hampered their efforts today. Let's talk about the goals then. Vincenzo, Tom Kent was man of the match. Christ. No. Aya says, we need to start thinking about how Arsenal play without Aubameyang. Whether he stays or goes, he is a huge influence. Definitely agree with you, mate. Let's talk about the goals. In the chat box, in terms of the first goal, who is to blame? Is it David Luiz? Is it Leno? Because I'm falling on the side of David Luiz. I think he needs to be more aware in that moment to get the header away. But ultimately, the organisation for that free kick was horrific. And then we lost a second goal to a set piece from a corner right at the end of the first half to make it 2-2. And maybe set pieces are becoming a real problem for us. My God, I'm getting so so bad with this cough recently. George Davis, Kolasinac all day reckons that it was Kolasinac. Maybe I need to watch it back. Maybe I missed something in there. Kolasinac, loss of concentration. Hector was poor today. Kolasinac all day. Hector says, Slavomir says Hector was poor today. 100%. I think for the, I think it was the first, not the first goal, but certainly the second goal or the second couple of chances in the second half. Hector Bellerin just doesn't seem to sense the danger quick enough for me. He strides back at a pace that we know that he's a lot faster than, and he just doesn't get into position well enough, and that often opens up the spaces and often opens up the chances. And I'm really starting to think that it's probably way too harsh to think about that in the long term is Bellerin going to be the main guy. But when you think about we spent £25 million on Kieran Tierney, and now you've got an 18-year-old that's come in Bukayo Saka, taken that position, and it looks like Kieran Tierney is going to have a really, really hard-fought battle to try and win that place back. And you have to think that Arsenal are a club that needs to be ruthless in the future. And if we're going to sign players, we can't be afraid to sign players in positions where we already have them. I know we signed Cedric Suarez. That's clearly not a position. That's not a player that is the long-term hope of becoming Arsenal's first choice right back, because he's probably not as good as Bellerin in terms of consistent quality. But in the future, Arsenal need to have that right back option as somewhere that we can have someone that could come in, could fight Bellerin for the place and ultimately win it to improve that position. Because whilst I think Bellerin, since coming back from his injury, just hasn't been the same player, he still needs to be a little bit more consistent, needs to get more minutes on the pitch, needs to play his game a little bit better, needs to defensively work on his game. But he is still very, very young. And sometimes people forget that fact that he's still very, very young. He's only in his early 30s then. He's only in his early 20s now. And I just think that in terms of Hector, that he's still able to offer us a lot more. But I maintain the point that any position in this side is not nailed down, and Arsenal need to be ruthless in the transfer windows. If they think they can sign a player that's going to improve us, then that is what they need to do 100%. James Wright says, I'm an Everton fan, but well done, Arsenal. However, you need to not get carried away with this result. Everton were third bottom a few weeks ago. In my opinion, Everton are looking good now, maybe for the top 7. Thank you, James, for tuning in. Really appreciate you coming in here with a very level-headed comment. I thought Everton deserved arguably a little bit more than they got today, but it wasn't to be, and I think that was probably down to the way that the game sort of flowed in the second half. And after Arsenal got their goal, they just didn't seem the same team that they were in the first half. We were willing to sit back, sit on that 3-2 lead and try and maybe nick one on the counter-attack. And it nearly happened with Eddie Nketiah, nearly getting one. Speaking of which, if you could all do me a favour, just one quick favour. Mike, at the Gooners podcast, this guy, I don't know if you've heard of him, but he's not the biggest fan of Nketiah. In fact, he doesn't like Nketiah. In fact, he said that he didn't think that Nketiah would ever make it, ever, at Arsenal. So I need you to tweet him, at the Gooners Pod on Twitter. Go let him know what you think about that opinion, because I don't agree with it. So, sorry about my coughing. Beast Titan, carried away from the Everton fan, but hey, you lot would have been beating heads. Oh my God, that's horrific. Dave Atkinson says, I never get carried away. It's Arsenal. Sakib says, was it worth having Guendouzi come on in the end? I feel Laka would have pressed way better than him. Anyone but him, to be honest. I don't think pressing is one of his top qualities. I'm not sure. I think that's quite harsh on Guendouzi, to be honest. I think we've looked at someone like Guendouzi who runs about the pitch. He's still very, very young. I think he's got a lot to offer the club, but he needs to develop the areas of his weakness. He really, really does. That's certainly something he needs to work on, and I hope that he can work on them. Unfortunately, I am going to end the show off there, because I feel that if I stay on any longer, I'm not going to have a voice to go to work with tomorrow. I hope you've enjoyed the show. If you have, please drop a like on the video. We're going to have tactical breakdowns out throughout the week. Can't wait to get those to you guys. But other than that, fantastic win from the boys. Really, really appreciate the effort that went in today to get those 3 points. Really important. I'm done. I'll see you guys later. As always, up the Arsenal.